Welcome back to our channel. We are on episode 3, which will be discussing the diagnosis day for my mom's breast cancer. The day that she told us was Monday, April 7th. That's the day she found out, and she sent out a group text to she called my stepdad and told him to call us and tell us to come over because she had found out that she had breast cancer. So my brother and I came over, and then later on we ended up calling my grandma and telling her in Vegas. So yeah, do you want to talk about when you first talked to the doctor?
So, um, I kind of had a feeling, but the doctor's office called me, and then a call, I don't know, some way, somehow ended up getting disconnected. And when I tried to call back, it was just music. So I had to leave a message with the operator. But anyway, when I pulled up to my house, that's when the doctor called me and stated that um, I had um, invasive invasive ductal carcinoma, better known as breast cancer, and that I needed to stay by my phone because the next day I was gonna get flooded with calls, and I had a team of specialists, and at that point, I just heard him going on and on and on, but I just couldn't um, really gather everything he was saying other than breast cancer. So I got into the house, and I just remember falling on the floor, like crying and thinking, like, how am I going to tell my kids that I have breast cancer? Um, how do I even remotely like even deal with the feeling of having breast cancer. Um, I knew that it was something because something so small turned into something medium, and then to me it felt like it was just a large mass. So I called um, I called my ex, and um, was crying because I was just like, I don't know how to say this to you or tell my kids. And I just remember him saying, "What's wrong? What's wrong?" And, it came out, and I'm like, "Can you just call the kids?" And I remember just being in the house, in a dark house, just laying on the floor crying because as the doctor was telling me this, and you think about a team of specialists and how your life is getting ready to change, it was a lot. It was a lot to hear. It was a lot to handle at that given point. So,
And Saturday, you had called us over here to tell us if the news was that you had breast cancer, how we would go about it, and if it wasn't, how we would go about it. But either way, that she would be strong, and we had to stick together as a family. And she just talked to us about different things going on in our lives and how she wanted us to be strong because we might need it to be strong for her. So that was Saturday before the Monday that we found out. And I remember when my stepdad called me, I was just like, oh my gosh, because at the time I was just like, why is he calling me? Why is my mom not calling me? But at the same time, the way that he had told me, he just said it pretty plain and simple. And I knew at that point, like, my mom couldn't tell me. So my brother and I rushed over here, and we just hugged her, and she cried. And we just knew that all we could do was be strong for her. And then we ended up calling my grandma and telling her. And then, oh my God, that was a bunny. And then she ended up We just saw a bunny, but she ended. We need to look that up and see if that was like good luck or something. But my grandma, she ended up like crying and um just being like telling my mom like she was gonna get through it, and we all were just sitting here confirming her that God would be with her every step of the way and that she would get through it. We all were really shocked and didn't really know what to expect of it. From the moment my mom had me feel the little dime piece that we felt in her chest, I never would have thought that it would have been breast cancer. I thought it was just going to be something small and was praying that it wasn't breast cancer. But clearly, this is a part of her story, and God wanted her to be a testament for others. So, um, did you feel any like grief or fear when you first found out?
Um, I honestly didn't know what to expect. Um, you know, like right after hearing a doctor say a team of specialists, it's just like,
Let's take a moment to pause so y'all can really see what my mom means by team of specialists. The oncologists, the surgeons, the lab work, the CT scans, the MRIs, everything just started flooding in. Mind y'all, my family was under attack. My brother had got his car broken in. My stepsister had broken her foot. While all this is going on, we got genetic tested, breast cancer center. My mom's still getting biopsies. Like all kind of stuff was just going on at this time.
why do I need a team of specialists? What does this mean? Like, what is getting ready to happen just with my life, and how do I keep going? I think that was mostly the feeling of, oh, there it is. Sorry, it's a bunny. But it was the like everything goes through your head. Like, okay, what are they saying, and what is the next step of what do you have to do? I didn't know much about breast cancer other than my dad's sister had breast cancer, but I didn't know anything about her breast cancer. So once um, he said that, then the next day, a nurse navigator, because they give you a nurse navigator to help you navigate through the process of just your appointments and things that you need to do, and your next step and all of that. So, once talking to her, I knew like this was more than anything that I can imagine or think about. And sure enough, the next day it was like, you have an appointment with um your surgeon. You have a surgeon, you have a plastic surgeon, you have an oncologist, you have a medical doctor, you have your primary doctor. So like you have all these doctors that um you have to see and make appointments with and have all these tests done. So yeah, the thing I was thinking about is like, how do I go on as normal? Is it even possible to keep going through day to day, just the process of day to day life with this and constantly being called from doctors? So it was a little bit of grief, the unknown, the worry, um, but then it was a sense of calmness that came over me as well. Um, so it's a lot of emotions, to say the least. Definitely a lot of emotions.
I would say I didn't feel fear, but I definitely felt grief because um we have a big family, but we have a like small intermediate family, which is just my grandma in Vegas. Well, on my mom's side speaking, because I have a big family on my dad's side. But on my mom's side speaking, it's my grandma in Vegas, my uncle, my mom, my cousins, my brother, and I. Here in Chicago, it's just my mom, my brother, and I. and my stepdad. But we just have been experiencing a lot. Like my mom had just gotten over a work injury, hurting her knee. My brother had just had a baby, and that whole situation was newness in its transition. So I just was like, oh my gosh, like we jumping through all these hurdles, and then my grandma in Vegas has MS. So um, just different time periods of us taking care of her and helping her. And I just was like, oh my gosh, like now this, but all in all, to say we have overcome quite a bit. So I knew that we were going to overcome this too, because just as God has brought things to our table, He has helped us get through each and every obstacle and stand up. So I didn't really feel fearful. I just was like kind of worrisome of how my mom would take it, because she has endured a lot in her lifespan, and I just didn't want her to like go into like a deep sadness or like feel like, oh my gosh, like I just didn't know how she was gonna take it. So I just was like, I don't know.
It
But
was hard. It was hard. Because again, just coming off of a work injury and um, different things happening within my life and changes happening, and you instantly just want to say like, why me? Like, why is this happening to me? Um, when again, it's like you don't want to question God and you don't want to go into that fear. But then I found out it's okay to ask, why me? But as I was thinking, like, but still in all, it's just like, I don't want to go through this. Like, I don't want to go through this. I don't want to endure anything else. Like, I don't want to fight another battle. I don't want to go through a loss. I don't want to feel. I didn't want to feel, and I really wanted to keep it private because I didn't know how to feel. I didn't know how to accept it. I didn't know how to take it, So it was definitely a notion and just a lot of emotions, going through a lot of crying. Um, just every time, I would pick up the phone and there was another doctor calling, and it's just like, why I all these doctors calling it? Why do I have to go through all these tests? And it's one test after another, and oh, you have to do this, and it's like your body is constantly getting pricked and poked and this and that. So um, that was definitely a scary feeling, to say the least.
yeah, and then I feel like once you find out, like when my mom first told me, I guess I didn't really have an emotion because I was so focused on her emotions. So I was kind of like just masking my emotions. But that night, I did like go home and cry to my boyfriend. I was like, oh my gosh, because it's my mom. Like, I don't know. But then, like, it still didn't feel real. But the next day, in our group chat, my mom started sending us all these appointments. I mean, like, they were hitting her left and right. Appointment here, appointment there, appointment for this, appointment for that. And then that's when it became real, because it was just like, oh my goodness. Like, sometimes it would be like 3 appointments in one day. Do you want to talk about the first steps with your care team? Like, how did
Um,
they set up a care team for you? What does that look like for somebody who might not know? Like, what was that
so
process?
again, you get a nurse navigator who, my nurse navigator, her name was Anna, and she is, well, she pretty much was there as the calm to your storm. Because then she's like, I'm here to help you. I know you're gonna get bombarded, but let me tell you, you know, what this is for. You know, you're gonna see your um, breast cancer surgeon, and you know that's the one that go over the details of, you know, basically what your mass look like, how big it is, and different tests that he or she might want you to have. Then you have your oncologist, and your oncologist is telling you about your treatments and medication and hormones and estrogen and this and that. And then you have your plastic surgeon if you go to implants, or if you don't want anything at all, or if you want to take the fat out your stomach and have them to make you a breast, and um, just where you want to go with just your reconstructive process. And then, of course, you have your OB-GYN that you might have to see, just in case you're on birth control, or for me, um, because I had an IUD. So I have my gynecologist. And then you have your primary. And your primary is to make sure that, um, you know, your levels are up to par, and um, just to be behind the scenes of everything else that's going on. So I want to say it started with meeting my oncologist. Um, that was the first step, and your meeting your oncologist goes over um, the breast cancer of just your estrogen and your hormones, and I think basically what the cancer feeds
Oh
off
yeah.
of, and then pretty much tell you about your breast cancer surgeon, and um, really pretty much go into if you have to do chemo, if you have to do pre-chemo, um, if it's a possibility of radiation. um, I can say like my oncologist was very good at breaking everything down, because you go in not understanding the language, not understanding what is being said to you, and you still in that moment of, is this for real? Like, is this really real? Because you kind of feel numb to it, you know, you feel numb to the fact of, and then it's like now you have to say cancer. You know, it took me a long time to even say cancer. Like I couldn't say it. So it was basically her breaking it down, and then now, um, you know, you can't have anything that would inside your body that will affect your levels. You know, just hormones and um, just all of that. So of course now it's like, oh no, you have that in you. No, you have to get that taken out. You can't take this, and you have to stop taking that, and you know the do's and the don'ts. So I think that was like the start of it really hitting me hard that I have breast cancer.
Yeah, they definitely tell you immediately no smoking. I don't know if they told you no drinking, but I know they like
Yeah,
started telling her like stay away from these foods. Try to put more of this in your body. Try to like, and my mom just started going like plant based and staying away from dairy and just a whole bunch of things that was like eye opening even for me. Um, Learning how different foods affect your bodies, especially as a woman with hormones, um, and just like different things to stay away from as far as products and so forth. Um, I would definitely say like for the longest we would go to the doctor and yeah, she did not want to put on there that she had cancer. Even when we first went to her oncologist and like the sign said like for cancer patients, and we went to her surgeon. Like just seeing that and just pushing the buttons on the elevator to go to a specific floor for cancer. I know that was like one of the biggest hurdles that we like overcame. Um, so do you have any questions before I give them questions that they should ask at their first oncology appointment?
Definitely be specific in what you want to know. Um, And again, like my oncologist was really good because she would like literally break everything down and put it on a chart and put it on a piece of paper for me to like go back and see like the triangle or the pieces of the puzzle that's getting ready to come together, or um just if you don't understand, ask questions. It's okay to ask as many questions to get a better understanding of what in the world are they talking about and the whys. You know, why is this? And um, what is this test for? I can remember going in and telling her like, I've been having headaches and I get migraines, but these are like smaller headaches. And the first thing of her concern was the spread of cancer. So if you having any other symptoms that you feel is not normal or is new or anything, like let your oncologist know so that they can look into it. It's better to know than not know and to ask questions about it, because again, I could have just kept on having headaches and not telling my oncologist, and cancer could have spread it throughout my body. And here it is, I'm going through the whole phase of things, and it could have been, looked at or, treated if it was something that really had to do with cancer. So absolutely ask questions, ask them to break it down to you, or can they write it down? Um, that would benefit you.
I just want to say first and foremost, shout out to God because literally she sent us so many appointments, and I don't know how, but my schedule at work, I was literally able to use all of my days to go to every single appointment from start to finish. So God is so good because yes, and also because shout out to God and Christ, but she had a really good team. Like her oncologist was super. Like when we were sitting there looking at her, like what she would break things down to us. Her surgeon was super good. Her plastic surgeon was excellent. Like everybody was just on top of everything. Even the person who was helping her schedule her appointments, like everybody was so nice, so helpful. We met some really great people. Um, and yeah, everybody was just so helpful, so patient, so kind. Like they gave my mom her moments to be frustrated, to break down, to have like sometimes good emotions and negative emotions. So yes, everybody was great. But after doing some research, some questions that people say that you should ask your oncologist are questions about your diagnosis and your treatment plan, the type and stage of your cancer, best recommendations for treatment, potential side effects, goals of your treatment, and also be open to getting second opinions. So some examples include what type of cancer do you have? Where is your cancer located? What stage or grade is your cancer? So the grade of your cancer is how aggressive your cancer is, and the stage of your cancer is the extent or the progression of your cancer. Ask about your prognosis, ask about the benefits and risk of each treatment process that they are presenting to you. Ask about your treatment options that are available for your type and stage of cancer. Ask how long each treatment will last, if chemo or radiation or surgery or hospitalization is required for you. Ask about your visitor policies. We didn't have any trouble with me going to every appointment with her, but every doctor might be different. So just definitely ask about your visitor policies. ask about best ways of communication. I think you didn't have any trouble communicating, right? You did like your app and then just
Yeah,
calling.
everything was just basically through the app. And again, your nurse navigator um, is one as well that will call you, or you can call them to question appointments or help you with appointments, or just to help you navigate around appointments. So, and then everything was on my Live Well app, so I didn't really have any problems of communicating.
And then it's okay if you would like to ask about your doctor's experiences. Like we felt really comfortable with her surgeons and her doctors because we talked to other ladies while waiting in the waiting room or just being in the vicinity. And many people spoke highly of her surgeon, of her plastic surgeon, so that made us feel a lot better because you're talking to a stranger basically. You're just like bum rush into this process. You don't know these people, so it's definitely helpful to talk to people around you while you are at the doctor's just to get some insight on how they are, how their process was, and how they handled everything. And then definitely ask about life during and after your treatments, and how you will be as far as like your mobility, your work ability, your emotions, how your body will be feeling, things like that. Because, like my mom said, it's better to know than to not know and then be at home, letting your brain just work and trick you and think the craziest of thoughts. Do you want to share your stage or grade?
So, thank goodness I ended up um,
Finding it
finding
early.
it early. But for mine, it was a little rough on my oncologist and breast cancer surgeon because after the first biopsy and how my cancer was progressing and just the areas around was a little bit mind boggling to them, to say the least. And I know that, they'll say like cancer doesn't hurt, but it does. When you're sleeping and you're laying and you have this mass in you and it's getting bigger, it's uncomfortable and it starts to hurt. You lay on your side and you like, oh man, or you want to lay on your chest and you can't. But and I would say, just going back, like, ladies, like, I was just telling my friend the other day, because like she put off her mammogram and she's like, I didn't think anything of it until like you started like going, to your appointments. And we don't, like, we might get that letter in the mail or that email to say, hey, your scheduled mammogram is coming up, and you just be like, oh, okay, I get to it. No, schedule it. Like, feel on yourself. Like, really feel on yourself to make sure like you don't feel anything out of the ordinary, because again, our bodies go through so much, and what we put in our bodies too can affect um our bodies, our hormones. So um that's important as well. But um yeah, it's a lot, y'all. Like, it's still hard for me to um like talk about it still, because it's like the reality of it is like, you have to say that like you have cancer, and you have breast cancer, and you don't know what stage, and the doctors are like really unclear until you actually go in for more testing and more biopsies and more pinching and poking for them to even see. And then sometimes like they don't know, they trying to figure it all out to be able to make you comfortable with the fact that you have breast cancer. So I didn't really know the stage and the grade of my breast cancer until after my surgery, when she like, or right before my surgery, when everything was all said and done. I was stage 2, grade 2. Um, but again, it's still hard and difficult for me now to um, just talk about it, because it's a life changing um, it's a life changing thing. And although you go to your oncologist and they tell you like it's groups out there that will help you and see you through it, but it's not a realistic reality of what you actually going through, because you don't really know what you getting ready to go through until you actually it hits you, and you go into these appointments and they're telling you um about, chemo and radiation and pre-op chemo, and they constantly measuring your breast and feeling, and then it's like that moment of okay, we have to do this test, because what I'm seeing on this picture of an ultrasound or MRI is not adding up to what I'm actually feeling. So, yeah, thank God that I was able to catch it early. Um, and again, I had just had a mammogram in November. So, you figure within those months, um, I was I was having breast cancer. Um, and so it is really important, ladies. Like, feel on yourself. I don't care if it's every day, like you're in the mirror and you just like, rubbing it up.
And here we have some examples. If you need to pause and check it out.
Like, even if it's the smallest thing and it doesn't sit right, and that's what it was with me. I kept telling Kiara, I'm like, it's just not sitting right. Like, I don't know, something not right. And I kept on telling her. She's like, well, go ahead, make your appointment. Yes, make that appointment. Make that appointment.
Okay, so thank you guys for tuning in. We hope this was helpful. Shout out to my mom for being able to come on here and talk about this, because it's not easy, and it definitely takes some strength to be able to tell your story, be a testimony, unveil those private feelings, and just share with the world. Um, so yeah, we will see y'all on the next